Hi everyone! So today I'll be showing you how to create this really cool Flip-A-Doodle bracelet. Now I know the Monster Tail instruction manual does have a bracelet very similar to this, where both single chains on the side are the same color and there are only one single chain on each side. However, this one contains two single chains and two different colors. However, you can make them the same color if you'd like, but just letting you know that the two bracelets are not the same. Anyways, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you already love this bracelet design, and now without further ado, let's get started. So today you will need any type of loom. I'll be showing you how to create this bracelet on a rainbow loom today, however you can use any type of loom for this. I also have a tutorial on how to make this bracelet on the Monster Tail. That tutorial is linked down in the description box below in case you're interested in watching it. I will be using a rainbow loom metal tipped hook today, as well as approximately 100 bands. That does vary upon wrist size, however that's just about how many I use. Today I'll be using pink, light pink from the Mixed Skin Tones package from rainbowloom.com, black, white, and then you also need one C-clip. All my supplies here are from the Rainbow Loom web store, including the light pink from the Mixed Skin Tones package of bands, as well as the metal tipped hook. Their website is linked down in the description box below. Again, it's rainbowloom.com, so if you're interested in buying any of the supplies that you see here, be sure to check them out. So anyways, now without further ado, let's get started. So first we're going to start off with our loom's arrows pointing down, and we are only going to be using these 6 pins that you see here. So first off, we are going to start by taking one of the colors that we're going to use for the center fishtail, and you're going to twist that into the center 2 pins here, just like that. And then once you're finished, you're going to take your first color that you're going to use for the kind of crisp, like outside sort of fish single chain, and you're going to twist that on those 2. So you do need high quality bands for this because this is quite a ways to stretch for some brand bands, but Rainbow Loom bands work perfectly fine for this. So the dark pink band that you see here is going to be one of the outside kind of strips of single chain here, and then the white band that you see here is going to be part of the fishtail. Now we're going to add the other side to the outer single chain strip. So for this I'm going to be using light pink, and then you want to twist that in the center as well. This is the only time we're going to end up twisting our bands. And then once you're finished, we are now going to add our next layer. So we're not going to have to twist our bands again, so you're just going to do the center fishtail color again. And then you're going to add on the color that you want for the outer single chain. And for this, you want to make sure it snakes in between these 2 pins here. So you want to make sure the band is in between the 2 pins here, not laying on top. And then do the same thing with the other single chain band here, just like that. And lastly, you're going to add one more band that goes for the fishtail in the center. So one more right there, and now we can start the hooking process. So for all of these pins, they do have different layer amounts. So these 4 pins here have 2 layers on each pin, and then these 2 here are the only ones that have 3 layers. However, on all the pins, you're going to grab the bottom layer only and hook over. So I've changed my camera angle so hopefully you can see the loom a little bit better and the layers. But it doesn't matter where you start, I'm just going to start on the bottom. You're going to grab the bottom layer only and hook over and release. Then go to this pin, hook the bottom layer only, and you're going to just pull it over the pin like that and release. Next, for the 2 fishtail ones here, grab the bottom layer only. There are 3 layers on this pin, however you're only going to grab the bottom layer like how you'd hook a regular fishtail bracelet, and release. Same thing goes for this left pin. Grab the bottom layer only, up and release. Now these 2 top pins are the same as the 2 bottom pins, so you're going to grab the 1 bottom layer only and hook over and release. Same thing for this top pin here. Grab the bottom layer only. I like to go in through the side. Hook over and release. Now I know it looks kind of loopy and the bands aren't even after you've hooked them over, but we can always fix that when we're finished with the bracelet. So just push your bands down, and we are now going to start putting on more bands. So obviously we're not going to put the same amount of bands that we did in the very beginning because of course we had to set up the layout, and now we are going to start doing one layer at a time. So Every time you do one layer at a time, you're always going to start by putting this left diagonal here. So you've got your band going from these 2 pins, and next we're going to do the one that goes from these 2 pins. So take your band, hook this around these 2 pins. Don't put them in between the pins. Don't make sure they're not on top. Goodness, can't get my words right, and that was my elbow on the table, by the way. So now we are going to add the one fishtail band in the center, like that, and we can start the hooking process again. Once again, we are going to hook the bottom layer only, so grab one band, hook over, and release. One band, hook over, and release. Now remember, we have the 2 fishtail ones here, so grab the bottom layer only, hook over, and release. You should have 2 layers remaining here. Same thing for this left pin, grab the bottom band, hook over, and release. And then for the 2 top pins, same thing, bottom layer only, hook over, and release. Bottom layer only, hook over, and release. Just like that. We're going to do the same thing again. Put your band from the top pin down to the very bottom pin, like that. And then you're going to put the next one that goes diagonally as well. Make sure it does not lay on top of these 2 pins. And lastly, you're going to put this one that goes across in the center. Now we get to start the hooking process. So remember, grab the very bottom layer here. And my layers got a little twisted here, but here's my bottom layer. Hook over and release. Make sure you're not going inside the bands here. Stay on the outside and grab the band. Like this. And then hook over and release. We're going to do the 2 fishtail bands now, and again, it does not matter what order you hook the bands over for all the pins. You could start at the top of your loom, or you could start on the side. It does not matter what order, but it helps to keep the same order over and over again, just to make sure you don't forget to hook any bands. So again, hook over and release. Then for the top 2, just grab the bottom layer and hook over. Bottom layer, hook over. So that's kind of the gist of it. You're just going to repeat that whole thing throughout the entire bracelet, and I'm going to keep showing you. Don't worry, I'm not going to stop, but you should be able to see your bracelet starting to form a little bit here. And it may look a little bit uneven right now, but when the bracelet gets longer, we can tug on it and see the full length of it so far. So again, we're always going to start with the longest diagonal. Just remember, we put on the bands from biggest to smallest, so when you put on the bands, this is the biggest one, this is the second biggest one, and then this is the smallest one. So now we are going to add on the second biggest diagonal. And then lastly, one of the bands in the center that are for the fishtail. And so now we're going to begin the hooking process. You're just going to grab the bottom layer on each pin and hook over. Grab the bottom layer, hook over. Bottom layer, hook over. Bottom layer, over. Same thing for the top 2. Just like that. So if you do not have a loom that has the small base plates with spaces in between, then you can start to pull your bracelet out to the side. If you have a rainbow loom or any type of loom that has gaps on the side over here, then that's where we're going to pull our bracelet out. So you can just use your hook to grab some random bands, stick it inside the bracelet. Honestly, does not matter what bands you stick it through, but you're just going to tug it out to the side so that we can start guiding it in that direction. Right now it looks like a jumbled mess, but we can fix that later on. But so far you should be able to start to see how the Flip-A-Doodle bracelet looks. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and continue. Remember, start with the longest band. Like that. And put on your second longest band. And lastly, the center band here. So now we're going to go ahead and start the hooking process. Grab the bottom layer on all the pins and hook over. So same thing again, We're not going to do anything other than this for the entire bracelet except for the ending. Like that. So you can keep tugging your bracelet off to the side so that way you can start to see what it looks like. I know we always get anxious when we don't know how the color combo is going to come out. I've never used this color combo before, so I'm pretty excited to see how it comes out. But anyways, let's put on our next layer. When I put this band on, I kind of like to twist it a little bit so that way when I place it down onto this pin, it fits between these two pins easier. Put the second to largest, and then the smallest. So once you're to this point, we can start the hooking process. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see kind of a more in-depth look at the hooking process. So bottom layer here. Just like that. So I'm going to use my hook and see if I can pull my bracelet a little bit more so we can see what it's starting to look like. And maybe a couple more links will do it. This is the side of the bracelet right now. You can start to see my fishtail there. But let's go ahead and continue. So I'll zoom back out here. So this is more of a outer look at it if you want to see what the whole thing looks like without my hands blocking a ton of it. So first this big long diagonal. And I think it's good to give you guys different perspectives of this bracelet so that way you can see all directions of how it's viewed, just in case you ever get confused during the bracelet. Like that. And remember, we're going to hook all the bottom layers over. And again, it does not matter what order you hook these over in. I just go in the same order every time. Like that. And here we can probably start seeing the bracelet. Basically what it looks like. I'll zoom back into my normal kind of frame here, and we're going to go ahead and continue. So remember, we start with the big long band here, and then this band here, the shorter one, like that, and then lastly the ultimate shortest one, and then we can start the hooking process. So honestly, I don't think that this bracelet is hard to remember how to do, just because for all the pins the hooking process is the same, just maybe the band placement order could be a little tricky. Other than that, I think this bracelet is fairly easy. Just consumes a little bit more bands maybe than a regular growing bracelet would. So I'll give you full instructions on the next one, and then after that I'll do kind of like a couple silent ones where I'm just not talking at all. Ooh, goodness, that one shot across the room. Okay, so the last band flew off of my loom, so we're going to try this again. And this one here. And then lastly, the shorter one. Like that. So now we're going to start the hooking process. Bottom layers, hook over, bottom layer, hook over, bottom layer, over. Same thing for all of them. I feel kind of weird saying the same thing over and over again. And that is my heater in the background, so. Okie dokie. So you should have something like this now. And I'm going to do a couple ones where I'm just being a little bit less talkative. So I challenge you to see if you can do this by yourself, so that way you know whether you're prepared or not for when I go off camera later. Okay, so I finished that layer now. Okay, so I think I'm going to show you guys 2 more times just silently, and then after that I'll be going off camera. And it's totally okay if you still aren't getting the gist of how to do this bracelet. You can always rewatch the previous instructions, and it's okay if you're still having trouble again. Some bracelets are harder to learn than others. It just kind of depends on how everybody's brain works, what techniques you tend to pick up easier, and stuff like that. So it's totally okay. You can always rewatch the previous instructions. So I think this is the last time I'm going to be doing this. Oh goodness, I did not hook that in the same order that I usually do, but that's okay, because it doesn't matter what order you hook them in. Okie dokie. So far, this is basically what my bracelet looks like. Here's one side and here's the other side. And some of the single chain links may get tucked into the inside of the bracelet, but that's totally normal just because it depends like how you hook the bracelet and stuff. But you can always just pull those out gently and they'll pop right back out. So anyways, if you're still having trouble making this bracelet, like I said earlier, please go ahead and rewatch the previous instructions. If not, pause the video here and continue making your bracelet, and I'll come back to show you how to take this off of your loom. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes and I'm now finished with the full length of my bracelet. And if you notice that you have a little bit of like nicks in your bracelet, then it's totally okay. We can go ahead and fix that later on. But now we're going to focus on getting this bracelet off of our loom. So you're first going to start off with your arrows pointing down still, and you're going to be using your hook for this part. Be very careful during this part of the ending the bracelet part, because it's easy for it to fall off of your loom. So you're going to carefully grab this top right pin, the band on the pin, with your hook and pull it off of the pin, and then you're going to carefully place it on the very top pin right here and release it there. Once you're finished, we're going to do the same thing to this bottom left pin and move it down to this bottom right pin. So carefully grab this with your hook, pull it off of the pin really carefully, and then place it onto this bottom right pin. Like that. Now on all the remaining pins, you should have 2 layers on each of them. So black and white, light pink and dark pink, so on. So you're just going to grab the very bottom layer and hook over on all of them. So bottom layer over, bottom layer over and release, bottom layer over and release. Same with the very top pin, bottom layer over and release. Like that. So now what we're going to do is kind of release this band here and move it to this pin. So you're going to grab the very bottom right pin and move it up 1 pin. Like that. Same thing to this top one. You're going to move this one down to this pin. So carefully grab this one, pull it off of the pin, and then carefully place it onto this bottom pin here. Like that. After that, you're going to have 2 layers on each of the pins, and you're going to grab the very bottom layer and hook over, very bottom layer, hook over, and release. You should have 1 layer remaining on each of the pins, and we are going to move this left one here over to the right. So pick up the very left side and place it onto this right pin here. And we are now ready to add a C-clip on. So just grab a C-clip and place it onto those two bands, and once you've made sure that all the bands are securely on the C-clip, you can pull this off like that, and we can now attach both of the ends together. So you're going to find the first band of your fishtail in the center. Mine would be white. You're going to find both of the layers of bands that went there. So that would be this white one here and this white one here. If I can pick that up. Like that. And once you've got both of them, hook them onto your finger like that. Grab the other end of your bracelet and then take the C-clip and hook it onto the bands that are on your finger. And we are now finished. Oh wait, we're almost finished. So I told you earlier that you might have a few kind of tucked in single chain loops in your bracelet. So what you're going to do is grab the tucked in one and just pull it out like gently. It's tucked in just because of some weird stuff that happens in the hooking process. As you can see, mine is tucked in all the way over here, so you're just going to grab those single chain links and just lightly pull them out so that way they are protruding instead of being tucked into the fishtail. So you just want to check and make sure your bracelet has all even stitches on both sides. And there's some over here. Just like that. And now we are completely finished with our Flip-A-Doodle bracelet. So thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I really love how this bracelet looks. I know in the Monster Tail instructions manual they have a bracelet similar to this. However, both sides of the single chain are the same color and they only have one single chain on each side instead of two like there are here. So I think that the two different single chain colors add a really unique look to this bracelet. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if it helped you out, and also hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and find me on all my social media sites linked down in the description box below, and I will see you guys later. Bye!